7 o'clock. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call to order the Thursday, November 7th, 2024 Londonderry Utilities Committee meeting. And we'll kick off the meeting by pledging our allegiance to the flag. Please
I
join
pledge
me.
allegiance
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So thank you all for coming. It's been a crazy week for a lot of reasons, and we'll just jump right into this. So as part of public comment tonight, I invited Councilor John Farrell to talk to us. John's got a new role in the state that on a committee that Governor Sununu put together, and you were going to brief us on what it's all about.
Happy to tell you what I know so far.
So welcome, John. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to do this. And why don't you just walk us through what you're up to, and then we'll, if you don't mind, we'll throw some questions at you.
Okay, 16,000 people voted. It was 1,000. Oh, wrong meeting. So, Lynn, thanks for having me. So, a few months ago, the governor asked me to become the chairman of the State Water Council. We've actually only had one meeting since I've been the chairman, and the second meeting is going to be next week. I am slowly learning what this is all about. As I look at the members of the, there's about 15 members of the Water Council. They come from all the different water districts from around the state. And it's a very much a quasi-judicial board. Right now, I have, as of this morning, and I say I because they all come to me, I have about a dozen DES appeals on decisions that had been made prior that the Attorney General has to name hearing officers for. So it's very much going to be a learned process around how we actually protect drinking water here in the state of New Hampshire. It's the people I've met so far from the Water Council all are much more impressive around understanding the water than I am. It appears I am simply a facilitator to make sure the meeting keeps on moving and that we keep on accomplishing things on the agenda. That's very much what it appears, to be so far. I'm sure I'm going to get much more greater understanding of what the authority is of the Water Council, how it can actually help Londonderry, with me gaining this knowledge. But I'm still sort of a newbie. Funny anecdotal story to it is that, and became completely unknown to me, is you have to go up and go through a security check. So you go through a security check, I go into the security officer, and there's patches of all these police departments all over the country. Turns out this guy's a retired New York City police officer. There was one patch missing, the one from Londonderry. So I'll be bringing that with me. The other thing that I found odd about the entire thing is I now have state identification. And they have access to the building, and I'm not sure what my access exactly is. I haven't tried the badge yet, but apparently I can go anywhere I want in the building. So I'm not sure what that means either. But they share that building with Health and Human Services, and DES is in the same building. And I've spoken to the commissioner a couple of different times, and really just honestly getting my feet wet. So
No pun intended?
That was very well played, Mike. And just starting to understand. But what I have been told is that just from our first meeting is that they appreciate the fact that someone who has an understanding of how things work at the local level is actually now involved. So we'll see how that goes. Can I answer any questions?
Well, I'll just start off by saying, it's great to have you representing. I know you're not representing Londonderry. You're there in a bigger role than that, but I'm hoping we can use you to our benefit, to be perfectly blunt.
I will serve the current governor and the governor-elect the best I can, and I'm in office for the next 2 years.
Yep, excellent.
And in return, you've got I think, a pretty good information source here to help you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, the meetings generally happen on Wednesdays, once a month, at 8:30 in the morning. And it's in different rooms at DES. But again, I mean, it's literally the fire hose.
No,
And-
absolutely.
And just kind of learning. Fortunately, I know how to run a meeting. That's a benefit. And everybody's, I mean, everybody's really respectful, and they were without Attorney General guidance for a number of months, so they weren't really able to move the ball forward. But we now have an assistant AG assigned to the Water Council.
Who is that?
I don't remember right off the top of my head. I literally met him for 30 seconds.
Okay.
Does it look like it's going to be focused more on water districts and municipal water departments and things like that? Or is it going to be just on cleanliness of aquifers or preventing, aquifer contamination? Or is it going to be all of the above?
I think it's going to be all of the above, including the whole PFOA issue, and and a lot of it is around violations, and not necessarily releasing permitting. One of the really interesting conversations is someone came in with a new policy that they wanted to put in effect, and the guy said, he says, well, the policy's kind of gray, and I waited for everybody to ask their questions, and I said, sir, I said, do you know John Trottier in the town of Londonderry? And he's like, well, yeah. I said, well, he's not a gray guy. I said, policies need to be black and white. I said, they can't be gray. They can't have holes in them. And everyone just was kind of quiet in the room. The guy kind of looks at me. I said, I don't think we'll be moving forward with this today until it's black and white. And that's where I got the comment of like, okay, well, at least you can bring experience from the people who have to implement these policies. So that is something different I think I bring to it, that we're just not going to push things through and say the state said. That's what I know so far.
Yep.
After one meeting and dozens of emails.
Can you give an example of the kinds of appeals that you said were filed?
That's what I was wondering.
I don't want to do that because they're pending, and I'm not an attorney, and I don't make that determination, and I have to sit and make it. I think I have to sit and make a decision. So I prefer to wait until they're explained to me versus just based on my reading of them, because they have not been presented or explained to me.
I guess more in the general, without being legally restrictive, what is an appeal for? Is it appeal because I want to put a pipeline in? Is it appeal because I violated a law? Is it or you just can't say?
Yes,
Okay,
all of those things.
okay, that's what I was wondering.
There's without getting into the names, there's some local attorneys' names who I'm familiar with who are making the appeals. So as I'm learning this role, I want to be really careful what I say.
Are they open meetings?
Yes, they're open to the public.
John, can you tell us anything about the history? This is not a new creature, right, the Water Council?
As far as I know, it's been in place for dozens of years. I'm just a new creature to it. Yes?
Yeah.
3 Gary Drive.
I was wondering if perhaps we can designate someone from the town of Londonderry or from the water board here to go to these meetings.
I'm happy to put you into, put this committee into touch with the administrative assistant that's assigned to me, and I'm sure she can help you.
And they're open to the public, you said that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. They take minutes and everything else. It's not easy. It's not easy to get into the building. You got to get cleared into the building and everything else.
Well, I think Martha and I are pretty familiar with
Getting into the
because
building.
we do go to the meetings anyway. So
Yeah, these meetings are upstairs behind, the card entry doors. I'm sure if somebody asked, I'm sure, they would make accommodations.
Okay. Well, if we can get the name of your assistant, that would be good.
I'll send that to Lynn.
That would be great.
thank you.
Great.
She's on vacation next week, by the way.
Okay.
There's somebody
That's
else
the way it
subbing
goes.
for her.
Get a new assistant and they go on vacation immediately.
Well, she's not new. She's been there a long time.
No, she's new to you.
Yeah, everybody's, except for the commissioner, everybody up there is new to me. So,
Do you expect any changes with the new regime coming in, or is it going to be continuation of business the way you think it has been running?
I mean, having known, Governor-elect Ayotte for, over 10 years, I would suspect that she's going to be smart and see what works and wait and make her changes as, as she takes the reins. But I don't speak for her.
Oh, no, no, and I understand that. So, and I guess my final comment to you, and there may be more, but it is, we have a number of problems here in town. I think you're well aware of all of them.
Opportunities.
Opportunities. And so, anything we can do to help you up there address the concerns of our citizens, we want to do it. We want to make it happen. And I think, we look forward to having an active partnership with you.
Absolutely. I mean, as I learn more, I'll share more, but that's, after one meeting, that's what I know.
Yep.
So, but I'm sure, I try to be a quick study.
Any other questions?
Good luck, John.
Yeah, absolutely. Good luck.
I don't know that I really understand what I got myself involved in. But I'm sure I will. The governor asked.
It'll be
Absolutely.
fine.
Thank you for coming by tonight. I really appreciate it, so.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Yep. And with that, we do have a opportunity for other public comment. I see we have somebody from the public here tonight, so if you come forward and your name and address for the record, please.
Maureen Mansfield, 10 Ross Drive. We just want to know on Ross Drive if you guys have any idea what's going on with the EPA, Hallie Aldridge, and Tinkham to get us water, to get a water line down that road. We have new construction now that's going to start on the top of Gilcrest. Even though they say it's not going to affect our water living on Ross Drive, I don't believe that. Okay, they're not going to build, they said it's going to only go 2 inches. They're not going to build basements to these places they're putting behind Home Depot, whatever. They're going to be pushing everything, and they're going to push it towards Ross Drive, the whole thing. So our water's just going to get worse, and we can't even get a water main down that road. So that was the question. If you guys know anything about what the EPA, Hallie Aldridge, or Tinkham, what they're doing with that mess.
Sure. Kirsten, you want to talk about where we're at right now? We've been actively talking about the problems we're having down there. So it's not like we've ignored them. We're trying to be proactive about it and,
Yeah.
identify
you.
some different solutions. But Kirsten's been working.
Yes. Sorry, I wasn't prepared to speak yet. So one of the things is the EPA is working to get out more community information, and we were in conversations with them to start putting some of their materials up on our website. We are working at the utility committee's behest at trying to get a day coming down where the EPA will be able to, it'll be a public meeting and open to everybody,
Right.
but specifically for the folks on Ross and Tocino about it. So to do an information session on that. We're thinking it's probably going to happen after the holidays at this juncture, simply because of the time of year and the.
Can I just make a suggestion? If you do it after the holidays, you're gonna have a tougher time getting somebody.
I don't mean the week after the holidays. I mean early January. It's
Yeah,
unlikely that we're
What
going
I'm suggesting is that you might wanna do it like November or the end of this month or the beginning of December. I'm just kind of concerned because of the change in administrations, you're gonna have a new EPA administrator. And so there may be some concern about discussing these issues.
So the beginning of January is still going to be the same EPA administration.
Yeah, no, I
So
got it.
yeah, I mean, I will
Saying
definitely.
that nobody's gonna come.
Yeah.
Because it's it's January 20th that the president-elect is sworn in. So you're close enough to the inaugural date period. I'm just making a suggestion.
I will certainly see what I can do. I'm definitely working within constraints that go beyond, that are peculiar to our local situation and
Right.
our, our current administrator for that is an administrator and not a director. So I don't know, it's a staff appointee and not a political appointee. So I'm not sure what that will be, but
Yeah, we
To that
have to,
point.
we have to get their input as to
yeah,
when
as to
what their
when that
availability is.
works. And then we also have to work within local constraints of currently, where our resources lay with budget season right now as well. So that we have a limited amount of resources that we can work with. I'd be happy to try and explore an earlier date if I can, but realistically, we also want to give the people on Ross and Tocquenille enough time to fit it into their schedules as well, so they can plan to attend. And so if I put something on, even if I could work something out for 2 weeks from now, is that enough time for the people there to make it a priority? So that's
I
my-
think so. I would send flyers to every house on those 2 roads. My other question is there a phone number that I can give to these people that they can call the EPA and say, why are you dragging your feet? Why can't we get this done?
Public information.
Public information, just, I didn't know if
That's a
you,
question for, that's a question.
as-
for-
if there was a
So I
specific
guess
phone
the-
number.
And I don't have the document in front of me, but there is what's the document called that we just
Yeah, there
got?
was
The public,
Yeah, report that
communication?
the EPA put out toward the end of September.
Okay,
They
so I
put-
got that.
Yeah,
too.
you have that.
And is there a phone, there's no phone
I-
number in that?
Well, there's got to be
Well,
it
there's-
could be a press release.
There's information on that for the EPA, New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services, and you certainly, you can find a number if you go on,
Yeah, I'll find
you know
it.
what I mean?
We were just asking to see,
Yeah.
some of us got together on Ross and Tocquenille and had our own little meeting.
Yes.
And one of the questions was, is there a number we could directly call to get the ball moving faster?
I actually wrote an email directly to the
To Ken.
person at the EPA who was on that
Letter.
report that we all read. And I got a response today from a gentleman, and he explained to me that they will come out with a more sort of definitive report with possible ways to fix the problems there. And so I wrote back to him, I highlighted that paragraph where he talked about all the things that are supposed to happen. And I underlined all the things, and I said, could you please respond to me, back to me with a timeline on when these things are gonna happen? So as soon as I get that information, I'll be happy to share that information with you.
Thank you. Anything. All right, that's,
So,
Just a note, I did pull up the community involvement plan. There is a phone number in it for ongoing communications for Aaron Shaheen, who is their community involvement coordinator. I've spoken with him. His phone number and his email are on page 14 of the Tinkham Garage Site Community Involvement Plan.
thank you.
And then it says that if you can contact him and you can sign up for an ongoing email list from them. So that's the fastest way to get the
Get the-
EPA direct ones.
Okay, thank you.
and I had asked Pennachuck Waterworks for a budgetary estimate on what it would cost to put a water line through your neighborhood and to hook up the houses. And I received that today, and, it's not a small number, it's about $3 million is what it would cost to do that, but at least that gives us an idea on what the scope of the project would be. Because a lot of it's gonna be who's gonna pay for what.
Right.
Right.
And hopefully Tinkham's going to pay for some of it.
Hopefully, they
All of it.
will, but
Yeah.
with that said,
Yeah.
if they pay for it in 10 years down the road, that doesn't solve your problem next year.
Right, no, and that's it. They're moving, these condos are coming in so fast, it's just crazy.
But in my mind, my simplistic mind, most of this revolves around money at this point in time.
Right.
And so this is, I think, a good starting point too, to know exactly what the scope of the problem or the scope of the solution might be.
All right.
And, Mr.
So-
Chair, may I add one thing? I think that once you, I don't know if you've had the ability to meet or speak to or encounter Cheryl Sprague, the person in charge of the Tinkham site.
Yes,
She is, and I mean this,
I haven't, my husband has.
okay, gotcha. I was gonna say, I mean this with this is a huge compliment. She is a pit bull. So she is doing everything she can. She is very deeply passionate about this, so that her energy around it like I said, we have to work around her schedule getting her here, but I think she will be very, very willing. She speaks very quickly, but she'll be very, very willing to answer and discuss all of and
Whatever.
alleviate all of your concerns to the best of her ability. But what the chair said does stand true is that a lot of this does depend strongly on the communication with Tinkham and with what they call the responsible parties, because
Yeah.
that has a lot of influence over the progression of funding.
Who did you say you were talking to, Kirsten?
Cheryl
Cheryl
Sprague.
Sprague.
Oh, okay.
So none of this covers Ross Drive?
No,
No, I didn't think so.
no, that's the High Range Road project schedule.
Okay. Well, thank you.
I do have a curiosity or a question, comment. So with all the condos coming in, wouldn't that help the cause because they're gonna supply water to those condos, which are very close to you guys?
Well, I don't see why they can't just go down Ross Drive. Most of Tokenol is already hooked up, I understand.
Right.
But,
I didn't know that.
yeah, most of it is. But people are still receiving bottled water. Cases, we get cases and cases of bottled water. But, I mean, why can't we just, if they're gonna do it, it's right there. You come down 2 houses and there's Ross Drive.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it should be in some consideration. of
Exactly.
that.
That's what I thought.
Exactly.
Yeah, we thought that too. But,
Maureen, are you getting bottled water at your house?
no, because we stopped testing. They put the well they put the 2 wells in at the top of the street and then the one on our property. Well, excuse me, the town's properties, 10 Ross. So they were here the other day for 3 hours, testing it, whatever they do. At least I know they're testing it, so.
Taking samples.
Yeah,
water
yeah,
samples.
right, yeah, they're taking samples from the 2 or 3 that they put behind where those condos are going in, and then the one on the end of our driveway. So,
On their property?
well, it's like on the easement there, between the street and our land. They put,
Yeah.
It's neutral property.
right, yeah,
Town
Where
right
they
away?
put the well that they test,
Right.
that's near their house.
A
but-
monitoring well.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's right there. There's my driveway and there's the well cap. So it's being tested. I know it's being tested.
How long does it take for you to get results of those tests?
They're usually pretty good, Haley Aldridge, but, I don't know where they fit into this whole EPA, Haley under Tinkham thing. You hear from so many people.
They're their contractor.
They are the contractor.
Yeah.
All right. There's so many people with little kids who are afraid to use the water.
Absolutely.
And I don't feel, I feel bad for these new people moving into the neighborhood. It was a beautiful neighborhood,
Right.
and now we're gonna have traffic problems and everything else, but
Well, we're
let's try and fix the water.
trying to work very hard because we feel your pain.
Hey, well, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, so we just had a little sit-down, get-together, whoever wanted to come, so I said I would come to this. But we'll all come when the EPA comes, so,
Yeah, and I think that'll be very beneficial.
Yeah.
yeah, the
Yeah,
more
the-
people we can get.
Pack the room, that
Right.
makes a difference.
Yeah.
So, but we just don't have a date for that,
No.
but,
we'll-
all right. I'll send out
Hopefully
a
we'll
message.
get that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank
Yep,
you.
Thank you.
Did I miss an email where, I don't remember seeing a report that came out in September about this problem. Is that because it
It's-
was just went to the water
No, it's
subcommittee?
on the EPA website.
Oh,
And we,
okay.
we just went and
Got
looked
it.
at it
Oh,
because
okay.
we were interested.
I did send it out to the committee too.
The EPA finished the report in September of this year.
If you'd like, I can send out
The
another
5-year
copy to
report.
everybody.
Okay.
And then, in addition to
Good.
that,
Oh, great.
there was this one about public participation.
And Kirsten's gonna resend that out to everybody.
Right.
I'll send it out
How
again
does-
to everybody.
Ray, how does it tie in with the, whatever, is it every 3-year,
Every 5 years.
5-year
Yeah.
update?
Yes,
Yeah, is this part of that?
yes.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got it,
the last one was in 2019.
okay, got it. Now I know what you're talking about.
Okay, moving on, administrative board work. October minutes. Everybody had a chance to take a look at the minutes. We got a amended version out
Yeah,
today.
it was just the simple comments, you
Yep.
know. I assigned Kristen to a whole nother staff, so we got that corrected.
Giving her another hat to wear.
Another hat to wear.
Another hat.
I got enough of those. Thank you, though.
So,
I
I'll make a
respectfully give
motion
it back.
to accept the minutes.
Sure. Motion to accept the minutes made by Martha,
Second,
second by Jet,
either way.
either way, second by Mike. All in favor of accepting the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are accepted, so.
Sorry, I was late with the mail, but I actually took a vacation and I didn't have an email for a week.
Oh, that's-
Came home to 525 new email messages. Last minute mail, you'll see why Drew had to get me a special copy of the video and he didn't produce it. It's all in your emails, but it's got this big virus protection thing. You'll have a picture in the email across everything. So that's why he couldn't publish it. So half of you behind the little not an antivirus thing.
So is this,
This is why we couldn't go, it was live, but we just couldn't go live on YouTube, I mean, reproduce on YouTube and stuff like that. I'm sorry.
so this is this the meeting which,
I have it in our records, I have it in my database. He also has it in case somebody wants to look at it as public
this
record.
is Mindy's meeting?
Yes, yes.
So we don't have a record of it?
We have a record of it, but
Audio
not
record of it.
broadcast, not audio and video, but the whole video has us behind this thing here.
Right.
You can listen to her. It's very clear, and I was able to get the minutes. I couldn't see who was talking, so,
Well, I was trying to set up a meeting with Kirsten and Mike a few weeks ago to talk about it, and then everything kind of broke open, so we never got together and had our meeting to
I don't
talk
know if I
about
discussed
the
it with Jeff or maybe
videotaping.
Lynn, but I was hoping that since she's done this before, I would love to have, even if we do a separate video conference, because you can Zoom record, go to meeting record and do it again and make it as a public file to, put on
Put
the
it
web.
up in the, that would be, I mean,
I don't know if
she's
we have
on-
to do it as a meeting or
So-
whatever.
A simpler solution might be to take the audio and just put the PowerPoint back over it.
I can do
Because
that.
it was just a PowerPoint over it, that's
I can
all
do
you
that.
could see.
Would that include the questions that came in from all
I mean,
of
it would
us?
just not, you wouldn't be able to see your faces, but
Okay.
you could still hear them. I
Yes,
mean,
you could hear them.
not that your expressions aren't an important part of your communication, but I think it would be sufficient. And that's certainly something that could be done. So perhaps, John, you and I can talk about that offline after the
Sure.
meeting. Because I think it can be fairly straightforward to recreate it, and if you have the audio either.
Yep.
So,
I got the audio and the video.
and we
I
have the
got I
PowerPoint,
got the
so,
four shiny heads on top, and that's about it.
and we have the PowerPoint as well, so we
Yes.
could recreate it.
Well, I got the PowerPoint from her and
Yep.
gave it to you
Yep.
guys.
Yep.
So,
And
yeah, we can
I
recreate
guess
it.
my question was whether or not the PowerPoint presentation was up on the town
I have not had
website?
the ability to update the Utilities Committee website in recent days. I hope you can understand.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking under the water piece that we had,
Mm-hmm.
right.
It is certainly on my list of things to do. I will say that my time is not extremely flexible at the moment. So I will get it up as soon as I'm able, but I'm trying to balance updating the current website with preparing for the new one and with a number of other things, including
Yeah, I'm
covering
sure
for
that
the
you're
executive
swamped.
assistant empty position. So
I'm sure you're
I will
swamped.
absolutely get it up there. I have it. It came through. It looks good, looks perfect. I kept getting as far as going to post it and then something else would come up. But the election's over, which is cut down on that, so it is definitely on my list of things to do. And I apologize for not having gotten to it yet, but
No problem.
it will get there. But if we have the capability of putting it over the audio, it may be quite simply better just to post that so there's the context to the slides.
Yep, because even in the video where it shows the screen in the background, it was hard to see the screen, and that's why I asked, can we get the PowerPoint presentation after that? So this is perfect.
Well, we got the PowerPoint presentation a while ago. And we can always ask Mindy to come back, if we need to. The reason why I was concerned about the timing is just when we did candidates for state rep, we did videos for the candidates for state reps, and one of the things I talked about right at the beginning of the video was that Mindy's presentation was on the town website. So that's why I'm a little concerned because it's not on the town website. Yeah, there you go. Somehow I don't think it is. I was the #1 Dem, so that's pretty good considering there have only been 2 Dem state reps in 100 years in this town.
In this town, yeah.
Yeah. So, moving right along. No, I just wanted to,
Good.
because people saw it and they may have gone to the town website and then couldn't see anything.
Anything else?
I have nothing else for you tonight.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Master plan update, Martha?
Master plan update. We have, we just had a meeting prior to this meeting, and we have the final results of the survey, which we reviewed quickly tonight. And the members of the master plan committee are going to take some time to digest that information that we received. And our next meeting will be in 2 weeks from tonight at 6 o'clock. So at that point, we'll have a more in-depth conversation of where we'll go with the information that we have. Our initial impression was that there was some, sort of contradicting information in there that we'll have to flush out in our focus groups going forward.
Yep, perfectly said.
I got a question. One of the things that came up last week, we were showing the different growth rates and, what are the high, middle, low cases for growth going forward? Is there any discussion on that, or do we have any feedback on that? Or?
We did not have any in-depth conversation on that. We talked about, that seemed to be, if you're talking about growth of like development and stuff.
Population.
Yeah, are we
I
gonna
think
grow
she
it
was-
like, in 10 or 20 or 30 years, are we gonna be a 50,000 person city or a 100,000 person city or a 20,000 person? I mean, probably 50-ish,
Yeah,
but,
well, we did not
Okay.
get into that.
okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I think that's down the road. Right now, we're just doing
Absolutely
data
understand.
collection from the community
Yeah,
to see what
absolutely
they're looking
understand.
for.
Okay, thank you.
We're gonna lock the borders.
I love it. Build a wall around Derry.
Actually, they did say tonight that they were gonna post the raw data up on the master plan website.
Oh,
if you
nice.
want to peek at the raw data.
That'd be interesting, yeah.
I thought she said she was gonna hold off on that.
That was on that, what we.
The
what we
analysis.
had,
Oh.
The interpretation. She
Oh,
was gonna
oh.
put- So everybody could see their own comments and things like that.
Oh, okay.
Don't jump for joy over that. I think you're gonna have comments all over the board, but.
Right.
There'll be a lot of work to.
It's
What
all
was our
like-
last town census, or what, does anybody know what the population is? Weekly changing, but, anybody know?
There's a census every 10 years.
Right.
Which is, part of it.
Yeah.
And then every year, if I'm second, the New Hampshire Department of, whatever it used to be called planning, but now, what is it?
Economic development.
Economic Development and Strategic Planning, and
Yep.
something like that. They put out an update to the census. In fact, it just came out within the last few months. So it's their best guess, starting with the census baseline and what they know about building permits and, schools and everything else. Their guess at what the population estimate will be. So you have every year you have a fairly good, reliable estimate. Not that they get it right every time, but
Do you remember what the number was? I'm just kinda
I want to say
curious.
it's around 28,000.
Well, 2020, according to Wikipedia, it's 25,826, so,
If the number
Probably-
this year was, I believe, the estimate this year was slightly over 27,000.
27.
Right.
And I think they have some projected
It's more than
build-out
that.
numbers, and I
Like
think the
32.
projected build-out number is roughly
I was thinking 32.
33,000.
in how many years? Like 10 years? However many.
That's the most that the town can sustain, based on the process of development right now and how much land is
I think we should go down
available.
to 15.
Well,
It's probably gone up now.
You wanna subsidize that through your taxes?
Nope.
And that's the contradictory nature of the data that we're seeing. People want a lot of different things, but then they also don't wanna pay taxes, so. I think that's gonna be the challenge, is interpreting the data and coming up with some policy coming out that, on how to implement the data. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, last week, I think it was last week, I put out an updated project monitoring and planning spreadsheet. Got a couple of comments back. I hope everybody's had a chance to take a look at it, and if so, yeah, Kirsten has it behind us. I'm gonna look at this. It's gonna be a constant work in progress, but I'd like to post it on our webpage, under the town webpage for the Utilities Committee. And I think it's important, it's a good record of what we've accomplished. I think it's a good record of what we're working on in case people have questions. So I'm going to ask Kirsten to post it, and if you do have any questions on it, just let me know and we'll update it appropriately.
Lynn,
One
did you-
question
Did you
to
say you send it to everybody on the committee?
Yeah.
This
I
week,
didn't
or
receive it.
today? That's
Oh,
the
no, I think it
email?
was last week.
Yeah, yeah, I think I saw it.
It's an attachment
Yep.
to the email. So you have to, when you open the email, you have to click on the attachment to open it up to see this.
It was October 14th it was sent.
I'll send it to you, right?
And then what about keeping it up to date, Lynn? Is there, you want to just work through you, or?
Work through me, that works for the time being. I'll look at it as the chairman's file, and so I don't mind updating it. And as it gets updated, I'll just send out a note saying it's been updated, and if people want to go look at it, then it'll be up to you to go look at it, once we have the link established on the webpage.
I think that the two items called support master plan, we could probably do a little better than just saying in process. I mean, just to let people know, you know, I know that Jeff's got a lot done on the water plan. And, you know, we can say a little bit about the block grant for the electric side. So,
So I'd appreciate some language from anybody who wants to update that.
all right, I'll try to do that for
Yep.
the electric.
Yep, and I want to keep it
Energy.
high level, so
Yeah.
I don't want to get into a lot of
Yeah,
detail.
like this.
Yeah, exactly.
This is great.
But I think it's important, I think it's important to, you know, take credit for what we've been doing. And that's what I look at this is doing more than anything else. It's just saying, you know, I think we've been an effective committee for the past almost 2 years, and I think we, you know,
Do we have any
Recognition
estimates
of that.
on savings from the power buying program?
nothing yet. We'll talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, that'd be good to post when we have it. Yeah, take a victory lap, if we can.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to ask Kirsten to post this, Kirsten, and then I will take any edits as they come, and we'll just update it periodically as it
Then
looks
much like
they need
with
to.
John, if we can have a conversation later about the format on the website, I have some ideas that might make it easier to keep it updated, so, and perhaps link to documents and the latest info
Absolutely.
to the point, to Mike's point about more work being done in more detail, so maybe you and I can talk offline tomorrow.
Sure.
Thank you.
Kristen, to store these documents, I presume it's in an Office application, not a Google app? So, in other words, I don't want to lose formatting.
That's a longer conversation about the technical capacities of our website, so, and the background and everything that we do, so maybe you and I, that's a little, let's just chat about it before
Right.
we post it.
I
and
think he
just-
likes to
yeah.
do it in Excel. If we have to, we can convert it to PDF to post, and that way, when he wants to make changes, he can convert it to PDF to post or whatever, right?
There's a number of options that I'd like to do the way that's, like I said, I'd like to just maybe walk through this about the technical table versus attachment
Okay.
versus upload, because there's different ways that our current Drupal site works, and then there's different ways that the next site will do, so I'm trying to prepare, trying to upload it on this site with the anticipation of having the smoothest transition to the next site, particularly for our migration team, so.
Yep. Makes sense.
Okay, moving on to subcommittee discussions. So we'll start with the Energy Subcommittee. We haven't had a meeting in a little while, but there's activity happening with the Community Choice Power Aggregation Program. I am expecting Eversource to come out with their rates for starting in February of 2025. I'm expecting that to come out sometime this month. And that'll give us a good idea on where we're going to go with our program, going forward. I do have Stuart Ormsby and Bart Fromuth coming in to talk to us next month. And I think at that point in time, we'll know where we're going to go with the program. We'll have to put together some next steps. Obviously, we have to get the town council to approve going forward. The town council is going to be the ultimate authority approving the program. But all the data, background data for the different utilities that are going to be affected by this, Eversource, New Hampshire Electric Co-op, Unitil, there's one more that escapes me with it. But Colonial Power has the data from all of those utilities that they need to work with in order to do the transition if and when we go forward with the program. But I think it's looking good. Colonial Power just got under contract with Laconia to develop a program for Laconia, so their reach is expanding across the state as well in cities and towns roughly equal in size to ours, and I think that bodes well for the longevity of the program, and I think you know, they'll be working on the services they can provide for us as well. So that's moving forward.
Excuse me, does the DES runs a website that gives you comparative supplier rates for everybody? And there are now listing other community aggregation pricing on that. You can kind of look down. Is that an indicator of where we think we're going to be if and when we offer our program up? Because those programs do still seem to be a peg below what Eversource and some of the other options are out there.
When you say a peg below, you mean a little bit?
A little bit cheaper.
A little bit cheaper.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at that, John, so I can't comment on that, but I would expect that we would see our program there as well.
It's an actually, I only had to look recently because my contract was running out and I had to re-up. So it's an interesting read if you want to take your time. It's a much longer read than it used to be because of all the different aggregation programs that are out there now. So, but it'll give you a sense for, frankly, what everybody else is paying for this, and it's a pretty good resource.
I think it might be worthwhile for everybody to look through before we have them come in in December to talk to us.
It's on the website for,
If you, you know, I do it by Google all the time. I don't know the website, but I believe the lookup was New Hampshire comparative electric supplier rates or something is
Okay.
what I Googled. And then look for one that looks official DES rather than some of the advertising ones.
DES or DOE?
He
DOE,
should be
Department of-
DOE, I'm sorry.
Department of
Department of
Energy.
Energy.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And just jumping around a little bit on the agenda, so next month, we're also going to have a representative come up from New Hampshire Department of Energy to talk to us about the New Hampshire 10-year energy strategy. And I've spoken with him on the phone. I told him where we're at with a couple of things we've been working on, the community power aggregation project, looking at potential solar. And he's interested to talk to us. I think he's excited to come and talk to us. And I think it's going to be a good presentation from him. And I'm also looking at, being able to leverage his presentation to the master plan when we start looking at our energy strategy, that we want to put forth in the master plan.
Who did you say that was?
Josh Elliott.
Oh, okay.
So he'll be up here for the December meeting as well. So we'll have an energy-focused December meeting.
He's with the Attorney General's office.
I think he does a couple things, but he's the DOE, he's the
Yeah,
community
well,
outreach person for DOE.
Yeah, he's also with the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services. He's not a member, but he goes to the meetings.
liaison.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's with the Attorney General's office.
So we'll have an energy-focused meeting in December.
Good. Thank you.
Jeff and I, so moving on to potential solar projects, Jeff and I had a meeting with the airport and with Revision Energy. Jeff, you want to talk about what we,
Is this a recent meeting, or is this
A
still
week
one that was
ago.
back?
week ago?
A week
Oh,
ago.
this is recent.
Yeah, it was on
Harvey Road.
Harvey Road?
Yeah.
On Harvey Road, if you're driving towards the airport, on the right-hand side, there's that big open field with the rocks on it, and there's a bunch of big rocks blocking you to get in the field. It's my rock symbol. But it was really nice. They think they can get about 1 full megawatt of power in there. They have a little map, which is a preliminary map when they get of where they're going to put the solar panels, and it's in big lines. Apparently, there's some environmental easements. There's they call it a rabbit run or
Yeah,
a
there's- well, there-
nature
yeah,
trail that the
there
animals
abs- yeah.
use going through there.
Yeah,
There's some habitat issues
Yes,
there.
yeah, habitat issues. They're very considerate of.
good.
And what's nice is they only have to do one foundation because the way they're installing the solar panels, it's just a drill down instead of a big concrete pad. And the airport really likes, so they currently really like solar, all the details need to be worked out, but it's a low or a low elevation,
Profile.
low profile. They need to figure out exactly what tilt they can use on the solar panels so they don't have a glare on the airplanes, but that's a solved problem. The Sandia National Labs has some program they developed for that. According to the airport manager, they're very, very excited. Their final question was, how do we move forward? What's next step? So very eager to move forward. How Londonderry will participate is a formative question, I think is the way to say that.
I think it's the best way to say it.
Regardless, there's, several $1 million new property taxes, or that will be taxed, several $1 million of construction that will be taxed from what's currently just a vacant lot, and apparently has been vacant for 10 years.
No,
if
it's
not
been vacant for
forever, I guess.
forever.
Yeah.
So that's, and what's nice about the solar being there, in addition to the, good green energy, it's property taxes that don't have a lot of bodies coming in and out, and it doesn't add to traffic, and it's very low infrastructure impact revenue for the city.
Yep.
So the airport really likes it, the Revision Energy really likes it, but it was just the first date for these guys.
Yep,
So-
well, like
That-
Jeff is saying too, we're really trying to figure out what Londonderry's role, if any, is going to be in this going forward.
Yeah.
It's really gonna be a relationship between Revision and the airport.
Yeah, that's what it
Yeah.
sounds like.
Yep.
Yeah.
But, I was happy with the results of the sidewalk we did up there. It's-
Where is it exactly?
You know the top of the hill on Harvey Road,
Harvey,
Okay.
Heading north.
heading north toward the airport?
Kirsten,
Yeah.
can you put a map on the, yeah.
Yeah,
What a novel idea.
we walked up to the top of the hill, it was a beautiful day,
Oh, it's gorgeous.
and you could see all the mountains over in the western part of the state, it was just gorgeous up there.
Did you have any discussions on off-taking?
So,
Yeah.
we had discussions,
Yeah.
and I
There-
think that's gonna be one of the next steps, is we have to understand that.
By off-taking, you're referring to whether or not Londonderry would receive any of the
Yeah.
megawatts?
Or
Okay,
make,
So
assume a
come south.
commitment to,
right, that's gonna be my question.
South,
too.
south, south,
How much of the
you're almost
energy
there.
come
is
south.
this for the airport? Like what
So
percentage?
here's Harvey Road.
So that's what has to be really developed, so,
Okay.
Who's getting what, it sounds
Come
like.
down, down.
What's that?
Who's
Down,
getting
down,
what?
right here.
Yeah.
This one right here, this cleared
Here,
parcel?
yeah.
Okay.
So right here is the top of the hill. This is all rock. This is beautiful back here. It's just gorgeous back here.
yeah, can't see it from the road.
Oh, did I touch? Oh, sorry.
No,
Yeah.
I did that.
Oh, yeah,
So when you're driving up,
yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
I know
so
it's
it's just
okay.
beautiful.
Yeah.
They talked about maybe buying an additional piece of land to make it bigger, but that's just, sort of brainstorming in the room or in the meeting.
so that is in the town of Londonderry, who owns the property?
The property is owned by the airport.
So it's owned by Manchester.
Yes.
The airport.
So the benefit to Londonderry?
At
Right
least
now-
property taxes.
Yeah, as a minimum property taxes.
At a minimum, property taxes, there's some benefit with solar, there's some programs, depending on if a government entity does the offtake, so there may, and again, this is all, the details need to be worked out, but there may be benefit to have the airport or the town, not the citizens of the town, but the actual town government to take some of the offtake. I think that's a great idea, but the specifics of how that works and what the economics pencil out at, I'm sure the developers have lawyers that that's their career.
Yep.
People that spend a lifetime, not a lifetime, but, that's what they do.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, the airport has considerable electric needs,
Sure.
and I would think they would be interested in using a lot of that.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think that's their goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They said that they're interested, but it's still, it's one of those, yeah, that sounds really great, but we'll have to look at the details.
Yeah, I'm just wondering the benefit to the town of Londonderry.
Yeah, well,
I mean, taxes, okay.
at a minimum taxes, we might be able to get some offtake on, some solar offtake for the power at a lower cost, or maybe not a lower cost. You know, all those details are formative, and I hate keep
Yeah.
using that word, but it was one meeting on something that the developer wants a multi-year option to get all their ducks in a row before they put shovels in the ground.
But this land is owned by the city of Manchester, then
by the
why
It's owned
would-
by the airport.
By the airport.
Well, which
It
is
says
the city of
ownership up there.
Manchester.
Right, so here's the thing. In the 80s, the town voted to give the Londonderry piece of the airport ownership to control to Manchester.
Oh, okay.
However, the
We still
properties,
own it.
we still own pieces, and that was something for the developers and the tax people to work out, who would get the revenue, who would get the tax.
Like
Couldn't
all
figure out
That's-
why
that's happened to be-
Londonderry would get taxed if we don't.
Because
got it.
that's
I
in,
got
that's in
it.
Londonderry.
We get all the revenue for all the cars that are parked over there in those parking lots. That all comes to Londonderry.
They actually make more money off parking than they do off landing
Right.
fees.
Yes, they do.
They do. They get a lot of
Yeah.
money for.
Some of us were not,
They charge.
some of us,
Some don't like that.
some
No,
of
it's
us,
the rental
Yes,
cars.
car
So
company.
they have to register them all here and all that.
some of us were very vocal at that board meeting about not doing this, but it happened. Long,
Gotcha.
long time ago.
So,
I think it's
so
sweet.
the minimum on this is a property tax impact. The max would be an additional perhaps offtake on some of the power.
Maybe some offtake on the power, maybe if we can negotiate something for Londonderry, maybe something else, but it's still, that's, you know, they're talking to each other. I don't know what leverage we have other than making the introduction.
Right.
You know, neither one of us are real estate brokers, and even if we were, it'd be, I think, profoundly unethical for us to try to get a commission off it, although it'd be a nice commission, you know?
I know it.
But, maybe, no. But it's, you know, at a minimum, it's solar power in Londonderry, and jobs, maybe putting stuff up. There's gonna be probably jobs to mow it, cause you have to maintain it. I don't know, that's not anything to write home about, I wouldn't think, but, you know.
And the airport considers the property unbuildable or undevelopable because of its height and its proximity under the
Right.
approach to the runway.
Yeah,
35,
it's
I guess
actually
it
a
is.
beautiful piece of land.
Yeah.
You should build a house there, Jeff.
I would love to.
Yeah.
Okay,
have
okay.
planes on
The
them.
planes are about 200 feet above your house.
Right, that's right. You would be
would
getting
not
that.
want
You
it.
would be getting that.
No, I wouldn't, but it's just, I mean, the view is gorgeous and it's
Yeah.
open.
And it was just a nice day.
Yeah, and it was a nice day.
Yeah.
You're describing the type of foundation, the type of panels. Who did you get that information from?
From the developer, the solar developer.
What developer?
Revision.
Revision. Oh,
Revision
Revision?
Energy.
Yeah. She was she was not the engineer, she was the project manager. But she's saying the only
It's not as
pad
bad
that they need to put in is for the transformers and stuff.
What's the?
So is Revision moving forward with this?
They are currently moving forward with it, but there's
It's
1,000
not-
things
it's
that
not
need to
quite as
happen
bad.
between now and putting shovel.
You would say moving forward with discussions.
Yeah, they're having discussions to move forward with
So that
discussions.
this doesn't get out as a.
I mean, they both like it, they're both interested, no contracts have been signed, and there's a million things that need to happen correctly. Not a million, there's many things that need to happen correctly before shovels go in the ground.
Yeah, and
And
the
they still
the
do
issue we had with Auburn Road was that there was no utility
There's-
of proper size in there.
Yeah, and they're 250 feet from three-phase
Yeah,
power.
three-phase
Yeah.
is very close, according to revision.
Well, I've seen it, goes right up Hardy Road.
Yep.
Yep.
I mean, not, is that
Not
not
Hardy.
Hardy, High Range,
Heart, yeah.
sorry.
So,
Is there a way to approximate, let's go with the minimum, the potential tax impact of this? Either maybe have Revision or maybe even the town come up with it. If this project happens and they put solar panels there, what's it worth to the town? Because I think that kind of would, I'm thinking of your spreadsheet, Len, okay? That's certainly better than saying in process.
Right,
No, that's a fair question. I'll ask Justin Campo about that. What the
Yeah.
tax rate would be on commercial property.
yeah.
Kirsten, do you know that off the top of your head?
The tax, our commercial and residential tax rates are the same.
Do what?
Our commercial and residential tax rate is the same,
So.
but where it is a city-owned property by Manchester, where it's a government-owned property, that gets into the area that I don't know. But we don't have a different commercial and
Well,
business tax.
that's a good question. I think we can start asking that question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
certainly,
Finance
certainly worth talking
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
the you could
Yeah.
even, you could start with Justin, that would be a good place to
Yeah, I
start.
might go to the assessor's office, but we
So
can-
it's sort of a thumb windage, it's several $100,000s a year lease. So whatever the math is on that, on the valuation, I don't know how it's calculated, but I think 4.5 or 5, something like that.
and a lot depends on the value of the
Yeah,
installation. as well.
They're very careful to clarify, it's subject to current appraisal. They don't set the value, they have to get an appraisal. And the FAA is very particular about how land is used for airports. So it's kind of nice for the airport guys because they don't have to negotiate, they just say, well, this is what the FAA says. At which, air travel, you want a referee that's keeping an eye on things, for sure. So.
John asked earlier, what's the maximum outcome, and I would go beyond what we just talked about and say, the maximum could be a town ownership of the installation
Yeah.
or even of the land, given that it's gonna be locked up in a way
We
that's.
can't sell,
that's
we
secure
cannot
to
own the land. The FAA will not let the airport sell that land.
Oh, no?
Yeah. They were
Even
very,
in that kind of a circumstance?
They were very adamant.
for anything?
Nope, they're very adamant that they cannot sell the land. They can do a 75-year lease, but they cannot sell the land.
Yep.
That was very,
But the town could still be an entrepreneur in that sense, like, we could be
Yeah,
one of the lessees.
yeah, if, and I don't want, I don't want to put ideas in people's head that people come back and say, Jeff, you said this. But if the negotiations go in such a way that it makes sense for the town to make an investment and the programs are set up to where, Londonderry can put in $1 million and then get a $200,000 a year dividend off. If that is possible, that would absolutely be a benefit. I don't even know if it's possible, and I don't want to
Yeah,
make people
we're-
think that I'm saying that it is possible. But there's with renewable energy finance, and I've worked on over $1 billion of renewable energy finance. It's been 10 years, but the real critical thing that allows these things to get funded and be profitable for investors is the way the programs are set up, and those things change all the time. And the way the programs are set up now, I haven't looked at this stuff in a long, long time.
Yep.
So,
Is there any talk of battery storage associated with this project?
none in the room that we were there. However, there's, there might be room for it.
We didn't talk about it.
Yeah, that's the right answer. We did not talk about it.
I don't mean to, be speculating or anything like that. All I'm saying is that we don't want to limit ourselves. We should be open to all possibilities.
Mhm.
And that's all.
No, I agree. Some valid questions to ask, and
Yeah, yeah.
I think all we do is ask the questions.
Yeah. So, we'll learn more as it goes, and as I said earlier, the Revision Energy, they want a 5-year 5-year window to get through all the permissions and building permits and planning and engineering, and work with the Department of Energy and Department of Natural Affairs to get all the habitat figured out. So this is not gonna happen in the short term.
No.
So.
Yeah, it's a 3-year project, so, at least.
Absolutely, yeah. So, but we'll keep everyone posted.
Moving on, energy audit, any news on the energy audit, Mike?
Good news and bad news. So, you might recall our last meeting, we decided that the first step would be to talk to New Hampshire Saves. So the good news is that Paul has a contact there that in this department from when he worked at Eversource. The bad news is Paul's not here tonight, and I don't know what he's learned, so I'm gonna have to defer till the next meeting on that one. The other piece of bad news, I guess, is I still have heard nothing from the energy efficiency block grant program. So, which just reinforces, I think, the fact that we just want to press forward on our energy efficiency audits. And unfortunately, I just don't have any progress to report. Hopefully, but I'll get with Paul and, you know, hopefully that's something
Great.
next weekend.
Okay. Moving on to water.
Kirsten? So I'm put together a little water report. We did a little bit of this last week, and if people like it, we'll keep doing it, and if not, I sent this to my team about 4 hours ago.
I was gonna say,
Which-
we sent that?
Yeah, I sent this about 4 hours ago, which next month, if we do it, I'll send it 48 hours
Is this
ahead of
my
time.
copy?
Yes, ma'am.
Is this
So-
your copy? Oh,
All right, so this is just pictures from Londonderry. These are immediate concerns. We're sort of thinking about things in, you know, immediate, short-term, long-term. Immediate concerns. These are what's going on today with water, and this is from John Ferreira has put this together for us. I did a little bit of editing, but this is John's. Oh, sorry. This is John's work. These are the projects that are going on right now. John, correct? From Pennachuck.
And I hope to update it next week. They were all busy on projects while I was going on vacation, so.
That's fine. That's fine.
It's all right, gotta update it.
So there were some discussions about, is this the right level of detail? Is this the right level of content? I want to make sure that we're not managing their business for them. It's just to keep an eye on what's going on. So if people have questions, we know what's going on. And there's some more information to get down at the bottom. So this is what's going on immediately today in water, at least from Pennachuck. And everybody should have a copy of this. I think we sent it out, or John sent it out last week, or last month.
2 months, yeah.
2 months, yeah. So this is the immediate water. Community outreach. Ann's working on the report, and we're talking about doing the thing with Mindy Messner.
yeah.
We're thinking before the end of the year.
Yeah.
And also, I've mentioned this to people before. We're open to other subjects. I think doing the little video outreach, it's kind of fun, and it's an opportunity to get in front of people and have topics that we like to talk about. And for the people in the committee, if there's something that you're really passionate about. I remember you mentioned the recycling. You know, if you're really passionate about recycling and you think there's half an hour of material that we can talk about recycling.
Composting would be actually
Yeah,
a great, that
yeah.
would be a great topic.
Yeah, if you want to do a thing on composting, I mean, this is not a water thing, but we've got a couple people that have done that, and I thought it was quite fun, and I thought it was informative, and it's good to get, you know, little wins for the team. So if you want to do that, we can talk about it offline, and then we can talk about it. So if anybody has any topic that they want to talk about and have like a little video, we can have a utility committee YouTube series. So short term, these are things that are happening, you know, not today and not in the next 6 months, but over the next couple years. Actually, this is for the next year or so. This is the water main extension. Lynn gave this out to everybody. Lynn, thank you very much for getting this from Pennachuck. So this is looking middle of 26 for that line. We drove that line last week. Last week. It's quite a ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite a ways. I was shocked at how much we're getting for $10 million. It goes a long, long way. And then there's the second line at the bottom, the old National Road project. Lynn, am I correct in saying that? Not managed by Pennachuck, however, timeline is expected to be similar. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So we should have a lot of construction along those two roads, but hopefully we'll have, you know, a incrementally better water system, not complete, but a better water system in the summer of 26. So that's good.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I'm just curious, so for folks who are now on bottled water within the consent decree area,
Yep.
they will be getting water hopefully by the summer of 2026? No.
This is for the completion of the water line, which will allow Other water lines to go out in the neighborhood.
Main trunk,
Right,
no
okay,
distribution, yeah.
Just the main trunk, not
Right,
the.
main trunk.
Okay. One of the things that I came across canvassing every weekend for the past 2 months, Saturdays and Sundays, 10 hours a day, if anybody wants to know, is that a gentleman I met who's in the consent decree, pretty close to High Range Road, he said, oh yeah, this gentleman said he is getting the bottled water. And I said, well, that's good. That's great. Glad you're getting the bottled water. And I said, what did DES say your numbers were? Do you know what your numbers are at your house? And he said 74. 74. His wife had just passed away in January, okay, of lung cancer, which could have easily been exacerbated or not exacerbated by the water or the shower she's taking in her house. But I said, well, can't you get a reverse osmosis system? Can't you go to DES and get a reverse osmosis system put in your house? He said, no, they won't pay for it. And I said, what do you mean they won't pay for it? People who are outside the consent decree can get a reverse osmosis system until we run out of money in the rebates. And you're within the consent decree area, and you're telling me that you can't call DES and ask them to come test your water and give you.
He wouldn't get it from DES.
No, I'm talking about the reimbursement. But he said no. He said he would have to put it in by himself. He would have to pay for it. Essentially, he'd have to pay the $5,000 or $10,000
Inside the
for
consent
the
decree, sure.
system. And that, I mean, I thought, well, how
Because
does that make sense?
We're still
You're within the
working with them
consent
to try to
decree.
get with the water line. So that gentleman must have been in the consent decree waiting for a water main line.
Right.
That's
right.
what we're still arguing about, yes. So what you're saying is correct, because they're dragging their feet on the water line. So anybody that didn't have a water line that was gonna be connected to their house, got a system in their house. They're 91% done at the moment in Londonderry. But anybody that's connected to a water main, you are correct. They have to wait until St. Cobain decides to do what they're gonna do.
If they're gonna do.
But
If they're gonna do it, exactly. Meanwhile, he's taking showers and washing his clothes and.
He has an option of, he can talk to, I won't say the name, there's a local contractor in town that would take care of him. But that would be something he'd have to work out with that contractor.
And he would have to pay for it. It's not as though DES would pay for it.
How would the
Well,
contractor
so
get
what do you mean
reimbursed?
that St. Cobain,
Doesn't
who
make
was
sense.
supposed to put water systems in people's houses,
For those outs,
She's talking about the ones that have water mains.
no,
water,
he didn't have a water main.
Right, but they're gonna have a water main, or they were designed to have a water main connected to their house, not a POET
So
system.
there's a fine line where, oh yeah, you've got a well, there's no plans for a water main, you get
Yet.
bottles in a system.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we haven't decided whether we're gonna pay
Is-
for that water main, so you're in limbo.
There's about 350 homes right now
Right.
that are designated to have a water main connection.
Yeah.
St. Cobain is, I'll just say, dragging their feet, to be polite.
and they
And
made
they're-
that choice, the homeowner made that choice?
No, the homeowner had no choice
Oh,
in
no,
that.
didn't have zero
St.
choice.
Cobain decided who got
St.
what
Cobain, the Attorney General,
classification.
are the one that did this.
And
It's all
even though
illegal.
there is no water main, there, they said.
No, so these are the houses, there's about 350 houses right now that are waiting to be connected to a water main.
Two-way water main.
Think of
That's,
a lick
that's
and a
their, that's their
promise.
agreement.
Where's
okay.
this agreement?
So, right.
It's in the
This
consent
is
decree,
their
right?
agreement, okay? They're just, St. Cobain has not come to the term yet that they're gonna put the money forward. That's what the $13.1 million is waiting for.
How
Where's
did they
the agreement?
decide who were those 350?
That was an agreement that was made from the Attorney General, the New Hampshire DES, St. Cobain. That was the agreement that was made.
And we don't have access to that.
You have access to it, sure.
That's,
Where is it?
it's in the consent
Yeah, it's in the,
decree, right?
yeah. You have
Consent
access
decree,
to it.
Ray.
It's in the consent decree.
Londonderry was not part of the consent decree.
Right, we're beyond that. This
Yeah.
is beyond that. this is just, they're in argument of over about 350 homes as to trying to get the money from Saint Cobain. So he must be one of those houses that is in that area.
Yeah, and how did they make the decision with somebody who has such a high number for his house? You would think that with a high number like that,
I don't believe they made the decision based on numbers at all. They basically said, you're this close to the main,
Right.
you're not this close to the main, you're gonna get a pulley system, you're gonna get the main. I don't think there was
AG's
any,
office in St. Cobain came to
there was
agreement. I thought
no
you guys
discussion
knew
that I know of about numbers at all.
so what's,
So these are folks that are waiting for this project to be completed and then for it to be routed into their neighborhood.
So this is the back
Right.
half of it. So
and
this
in
is,
the meantime, he has no reverse osmosis system in his house because he can't financially pay for it. It's too much for him, 5,000, 10,000. And yet, if you're outside the consent decree area,
you can get the rebate. Yeah.
Who do I call to get rebated?
Wow,
RO system.
that's because Saint-Gobain, you have to get it from the responsible party.
You have to fill a paper.
And the agreement with the AJ.
It's not, you don't call anybody, you have to fill out a form, it's on the DS website.
So it's a geography question, right? So when they identified the houses at risk, if you were close to a main, then you fell into this unfortunate camp. If you were farther away from the main, we'll bring you bottled water. If you're outside the content area, we've got a rebate program for that.
I
But
don't know that.
if
I'm
you're
not the
that little
expert.
remnant that's close
I'm just
to
telling you the
main,
facts.
we just ain't got it there yet.
But
right?
there's no
So this
main.
was just a.
But there's no
No, but
main.
there's a lick and a promise.
right?
No,
Yeah,
it's legal,
no,
totally legal.
yeah.
That's ridiculous.
So, you know, to move on, the agreement has
There
a
is.
lot of
Where is
flaws.
it? Right,
In the
Ray,
consent decree.
Ray,
yeah.
the agreement has a lot of flaws. We're not gonna relitigate the agreement, unfortunately. We're not going to go down and do that. We don't have the authority to do that. But, this is the timeline for the High Range Road Water Project going north from the intersection of Parmenter and Old Nashua, going as far north up Parmenter onto High Range
that's where it was.
and going until the money
Some
runs out.
perimeter, Yeah.
Can we ask the question as to who is the project, if Penachuk is not the manager of it, who is?
On Old Nashua Road?
Yeah,
Yes.
I have that. Give me a second here.
I can go to the next slide.
Why don't you do that?
Okay. Longer term, and you had a great question that you asked about how are we gonna build out and what's the next, how are we gonna get water to these guys? We have a meeting, we had a conversation on the 10th on, how are we gonna build out water for all of, the long-term goal is to get water to town water for everybody in Londonderry.
Right.
Or at least get it available to them. That's gonna be a big project just to get the plan put together. And Ann pointed out that, if we talk to Chris Pappas and say, we need water for everybody, if we don't have a plan, he's just gonna kick us out of his office. So,
Well, he'll probably be a little nicer. than
well,
that.
yeah, but we need to have a plan to get.
to have a plan.
We need to have a
Give
plan.
you some chicken tenders before you.
So we need to have a plan. A lot of steps need to happen to make sure that happens. We're taking the first step this next week or the week after. John and I are going over to Penachuk for about a 4-hour meeting or 3.5-hour meeting
18th, Monday.
on the 18th to not make the plan, but like get feedback from them on if we had a big checkbook, what would be the most cost-effective and appropriate way to build out water to everybody in Londonderry. There's going to be a lot of conversations and discussions and horse trading on how that happens, but this is just getting a first blush at the information for free. Because they're gonna be probably making money off the contracting and then for sure making money off all the new customers. So they have a big incentive to have this happen.
Right.
And they're gonna really be pleased to have all that new infrastructure on their balance sheet. But again, this is just a first conversation. There's a million conversations after that. Go ahead, Ann.
I'm just thinking as a piece of that plan, maybe what should be discussed are those 350 homes
Yeah,
that have.
I was gonna talk to you after the
or
meeting to get
left,
exactly where those
remember?
houses are to, ask that question. That's part of what, we need to understand not only where the most houses are and how we can get a pipe to the most houses, but how we can get a pipe to the houses that don't have water, like our guest this evening. So there's 2 or 3 variables on the priority and the sequencing. And
Well, I happened to bump into Chris and actually told him about that gentleman and said, did you know that you got, I didn't know it was 350 people, but I just talked about the problem of inside the consent decree and outside the consent decree. And I said to him, you know, this guy is dealing with this every single day, day in and day out. And he's taking a shower in water, which his number is 74.
Yeah.
Now, and his ears perked, and so to speak. So, I'm just thinking that you know, how much would it be, 350 people to have a reverse osmosis system put into their house if you figure 10,000 per 350? I mean, he can get that money.
17 million?
yeah. Yeah, so that's absolutely gonna be one of our big questions. You know, where's the most contaminated
I'm
areas
just
and
thinking
how
we
can
should
we?
propose that in the plan.
Yeah, yeah. That's gonna be part of the conversation.
Just keep in mind that Penachuk might not be able to answer a lot of your questions because they're currently at the table with us negotiating with St. Cobain, so they might not be able to answer a lot of your questions.
Yeah, part of the reason I'm bringing John is because I want to focus it on an engineering question, and I
Yeah.
don't want to get into the politics of it. And
I just want you to know they might not be able to answer
understand.
you.
Yeah, and if they're cagey and shifty, I'll be like, okay.
Oh, they're gonna be cagey and shifty.
Not really, no, not really, John.
So-
Yeah.
No, because St. Cobain is the negotiation right now trying to get them to get that 13 million from them.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I
So they might
specifically
not
don't
be able
wanna
to
get into
discuss it.
politics.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, I meant St. Cobain being cagey and shifty.
So,
Yeah.
so anyway, we're having a first conversation with these
Okay.
guys. We'll get a bunch of data. I'm sure we'll have maps and information and spreadsheets. We'll share it through Lynn to the whole committee. There's gonna be a lot of horse trading going on. We'll probably, you know, there's gonna be consultants hired eventually. We're not gonna be able to put together the plan. We don't have the talent on this, but, well, we don't have the people on this board to put that together. But we're taking the first step.
Yep.
And it's free, and people that know the business, so.
And they've got engineers that are willing to help us.
Engineers that are willing to help, yeah,
And I think it's the right first step.
sure.
Absolutely.
Let's see, we need the guidance on the growth projections. I mentioned that to Martha. I asked that question earlier for a long run.
Yeah.
Goal for November. So the goal for November from the water committee, we're gonna talk about this, the water committee at our next water committee meeting, is I wanna have an outline of, these are the things we wanna talk about in the water committee master plan piece. And that's not a detail, this is just bullet points. You know, this is, you know, we need this much water for this many people, and these are the things that we wanna discuss. And that can absolutely change 10 times before we get to a finished place. But I want to start putting some pen to paper and start having something that we can start looking at and say, is this still what we think about? We wrote this last month. Is this still what we think about? And what questions do we need to answer to get the facts and apply data to that problem? But we're going to start putting some pen to paper on that. Next takeaway, improving I think as a committee, we're really improving a transparency and communications with Penachuk. We're getting relationships with them. John's talking to them regularly. Lynn's talking to them regularly. We're having this meeting. They're very candid. I think that's absolutely improving significantly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd agree.
And I think there's still a lot of work to do. I like things to go fast, but I think we're getting good things done. But I always like things to go faster, so that's my preference.
Can I make a recommendation?
Yeah, absolutely.
Try to make it a phased progression. Maybe whether it's
On the build-out or
based on what you want to do
Yeah.
to present to the taxpayers.
Oh,
So
yeah,
say, for example, when you bring it to the town council, try to make it phased so that you say, okay, phase 1 is going to cost us 2 million.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
phase 2 is going to cost us 9 million. You know, try to make it incremental because the whole project is around 200 million.
Yeah,
So you don't want to slam the taxpayers with 200 million all at once. You want to try to break it out. So try to do it in phases so that maybe it's a 15-year project, 20-year project, and just break it out of phases. Say, you know, this phase is going to cost us this much, and then obviously you're going to have inflation, but try to break it up so it's more, I guess,
Palatable.
yeah.
yes, palatable for the.
You can't build the whole thing
Yeah.
at once.
Right,
Right.
you can't build the whole thing at
Right.
once.
Right.
And
Even if you had the money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you just
So
can't
just-
do it.
And I fully agree with that.
Yeah.
Part of what we're trying to figure out is, what are the steps? There's probably
Yeah.
10 or 15 or 20 or 30 buckets of
Yeah.
houses. that, you know,
Because what it looks like right now is we
I
might
like
be
what
going,
you're saying.
yeah,
I fully agree with what you're saying.
we might be going the opposite direction. We might be starting from this end
Correct.
and going the opposite way, what we were first talking about. So just try to present it so that, if we do warrant articles in the future, we're asking for 2 or 3 million and not like, or 10, whatever. We're not asking for like all kinds of money at once or
Right,
something,
and
so.
I mean, I'm getting over my skis, but
Yeah.
if we're talking about putting $200 million on the balance sheet of Penachuk, then there's the, what else can we negotiate out of Penachuk if we're putting that much money in their
Mm-hmm.
pockets? And then it's, what can we negotiate?
Yeah, that's nice.
Can
Yeah.
we get a board seat? Can we get 10% of the company? I mean, I don't know.
I like it.
Can we get back to?
200 million is a lot of money.
Yeah.
200 million's a lot. So that's where we are. So I'm gonna.
Yep.
So from the water committee, does this feel good as a way to present? Do people like this?
Yep.
And if not, I'll go back to just verbal. If so, I like
No,
to
I
have
like
things
it.
to talk to.
Yeah.
No,
I
I like
I
it.
like it in
I
writing.
like
That's
having
good.
something like this.
All right.
Yeah, I like it in writing.
So we can watch.
Yeah, so we can watch and
Watch it
talk through
develop.
it, and yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I'm gonna save these. I think, I know Kirsten has it because she put it up. Does this count as a town record, or is this just
That'd be a record.
okay?
If we're here, it's our record.
Okay. So, that's it.
So can you go back to the list of projects
Sure.
that were on there?
Absolutely.
Oh, you.
Slide 2.
Yep.
I'll fight you for it, Jeff.
So, just to answer Ray's question, so that's the company that is managing the project down Old Nashua Road. It's Verdantis. So there's an A between the T and the S, but it's a company called Verdantis Engineering. And they're managing the project for Rolling Green.
Is there a start date?
So the start date, they're gonna go out for bid right around the first of the year. But the project, the build-out will coincide with the build-out for High Range Road.
So similar to this, right? Oop,
Right.
Yeah, it'll
Similar
be
to that.
similar to that. And obviously, that has to be done for this to work, because that project will feed this project.
Yeah. And that project's already been paid for. I mean,
This
it's,
one.
It's funded.
the money has been funded.
Yeah.
I think the Stonehenge project is done, right?
What's Stonehenge,
The-
Greg?
The last item there.
That's up
Stonehenge
to,
Apartments.
up to the apartments.
Yeah. It's kind of across from the big,
Which side of
Greg-
Stonehenge?
McGregor's
What do you
cut.
mean?
it's on the north side of,
Gregor's Cut.
oh, yeah, north of McGregor's Cut, on the north, so McGregor's Cut's on the south side of the
Stonehenge.
Stonehenge. This is on the north side, but it was a fairly small project that was, dug in and they were put on, and that was been completed a couple of years
We'll
ago.
have this updated for December for sure.
Yeah,
Well,
so you want to check
I
on
caught
that.
part
The
of it.
water is already up to
Stonehenge
the
apartment?
ones
I didn't
on
think it was
the
done, but
south side.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the pump station's already there,
Yep.
right? So it's a matter of going across the road and feeding them.
I think it's done.
You think it's already
Take a
done?
look at it.
think so?
Is that good?
Take a look at it and we'll update it. This is a work in progress again.
I don't think so, but I can check with John again.
Right.
All right, more to come. Oh, and next water committee meeting is 2 Saturdays from now.
I'm just gonna use
Where's my calendar?
23rd.
That the Saturday before Thanksgiving,
Yep,
23rd.
23rd.
And it's Sunnycrest Room, 10 o'clock in the morning, right? So you can get there. 10 o'clock in the morning, Sunnycrest Room on the 23rd. Let me write that.
At 10?
10 a.m., yeah.
And the next two items on the agenda, I think, were addressed by the presentation that Jeff put together, so we're just gonna move on from those. Anything else on water?
I just have to throw out that with our new president-elect, PFAS and PFOA is not a priority. And there was discussion in 2025 report under the environment section, it's a 35-page section, that PFAS and PFOA, that all those activities even could be rolled back.
Or it could be rolled forward, because we know he's gonna establish a new committee,
No,
and.
this is what he said in the
So,
2025.
I think there's a lot, I think we could speculate a lot.
Okay. Well,
I just want to
With the new
say that
administration,
I've been through
and I'm
this.
scared about a lot of things too, and I just think
No,
it's
I'm
gonna
not,
be up to us.
I'm just
to
stating
keep
it as a
moving.
fact. It's
It's-
written up in the 2025.
Sorry, no, I gotta stop that. The 2025 is not his document, please.
Yeah,
Do
this
not
is-
say that.
One
So,
other thing, though.
Okay, so we're gonna move
We're
on.
gonna move on.
No, we're
We're
gonna
the
move
state
on.
of
We can't deal with it, but
We're the
we'll,
state of New Hampshire,
Right.
and we are working together here as a community in
Right.
Londonderry, I think.
Right.
Really well. So I think we need to remember that.
right.
Yeah.
And we can,
Oh, I'm
and
not-
we can use our legislators to
I'm not
push,
saying either way, I'm just saying that this is definitely a possibility, and I just want to throw
It's a
that out.
possibility that,
And it's a pretty high possibility.
well, that's where we use our reps and our people to push the agenda that we need.
Yes,
We
that's
need.
true.
Okay,
The
good.
best of our abilities.
Best of our ability.
Right.
Now,
Right.
one other thing about water.
Yep.
You had mentioned a while back that there were a lot of pending lawsuits. I don't know if you know, it hit last week, but they did agree to, I gotta find the document, I was looking for it yesterday. I think it's $30 billion for people in the last 15 years that have gotten either uterine cancer, testicular cancer, liver cancer, and they had any level of PFAS in their water. And the lawyers are jumping all over it, so I'll try to find the document. Some of those things are starting to come to fruition, like you said. Monsanto's under and a lot of these things are happening. I'm trying to find out where the money's coming from, besides the federal government, but, so,
Could be coming from 3M or DuPont.
right, something like that. So, I just happened to see it 2 days ago, and I went, whoa, look at that. So here comes the lawyers, so,
Yeah.
good, that's good. Okay?
Good, thank you.
And I think the EPA has $50 billion for the country, and the state of New Hampshire is entitled to a portion of that,
Oh, sure.
okay? And the EPA has stepped up in that report in September and called out that the general public needs to be involved, just like that lady that stepped up there, which also should include us.
Yeah.
And I would strongly suggest, which you already did, that should happen in November or December of this year. The EPA coming in here, Andrew Fuller from DES coming here, and whoever else we need to have come here, so the general public can be fully informed as to what's going on and that they can participate in this.
Right, with the Tinkham site you're referring to. Yeah,
I'm talking about the Tinkham site in
Right.
particular.
right.
But we also got the Auburn Road site that is leaching out contaminants. And that also, every monitoring well in the town of Londonderry is being monitored. The DES has that.
Yeah,
The EPA has that. The town of Londonderry has that.
no, but if you want somebody from EPA to come to talk about Tinkham, it could be a different person at EPA that's working on that
Yeah,
site.
And
that's working
Andrew
on
Right.
Fuller
And I think
is
we're
is
working.
one of the contacts.
Right, I think
we
we're
have
working
other
to
contacts.
make that happen.
Pardon?
yeah.
We're working to make
We're-
that happen.
Yes.
Thank you.
Just a little bit of history, and maybe you can help me. The Tinkham site was more than one site, and I think it started around 74, 75.
But it's considered one Superfund site?
Just the Tinkham one is?
No,
'Cause-
we have four.
Oh, we used to have 6, but yeah, 2 was supposedly clean where the fire department's built.
Yeah.
That kind of scares me. But yeah, okay, but it's been a while. So it's a forever problem.
Yeah.
That was my point.
375 acres, just the Tinkham site.
Really?
So,
And
all that, let's move on from that, I think,
Okay.
at this point in
Thank
time. Anything else from water?
No,
Sewer, solid waste, John?
Putting together a educational tour of the materials recovery facility, the MRF so-called, down in Billerica. Ray, I just gave you the email on it, just need dates. And I sent it to you too. I don't know, they initially want to limit this. They can only handle so many bodies touring their
Yeah.
facility while they're in operation. So, we're trying to keep it to less than 10, so depending on your availability, Ray, yours, I'll have a feel for how many folks can go. Trying to get this done in November before it snows, because there is a little bit of climbing, et cetera, et cetera. Basically, two objectives. One is, you can see where your single source collection ends up, okay, which is, I think, of value to us, what happens to it. And it'll also be an opportunity to ask our friends from Waste Management a lot of questions in the area of recycling and find out where they're going, looking 3, 4, 5 years down the road in terms of what they might be thinking about. So,
And how we can, here in the town of Londonderry, do things better by educating the general public as to,
and educating ourselves, finding out where these folks are going and what we can do today versus what we can do 3 to 5 years from now. So,
Yep.
What date did you say that was? What date did you say?
there
Oh,
are
thank you.
3 proposed dates.
Okay, thanks, Ray.
I just need, what I'd like to do is get the subcommittee feel, find out how many bodies we have, and then I think I'll have space for maybe 3 or 4 more, and then we'll do first come, first serve for the rest of the committee, so we can limit the number of folks that go, if that's acceptable to everybody.
When were you thinking of in November?
You know what?
it's
Later
right
the
here.
end?
Yeah, we have 3 dates.
No, November 15th, which is a Friday, Thursday, November 21st, and Tuesday, November 26th.
So what I need
Tuesday?
from you two guys is just prioritize those 3 dates, and, what works for you, what doesn't work for you, let me know, and then, if you could shoot that back to me in an email, then I have to give a couple of dates to the waste management people. So I'll pick the 2 best dates out of those 3, okay?
Did you have a time of day?
Morning.
Morning. Yeah.
A typical operation, they're very busy first thing. So it'll probably be, I'm thinking 9:30, 10 o'clock. The tour, as I understand it, runs about an hour and a half.
Very well, thank you.
Also working on, this is for the subcommittee right now, a Zoom meeting with Waste Management. They're very interested in talking to us about composting. Again, this is a down-the-road project. Right now, it's economically not feasible for a company of their size and scale to do residential composting. There are some alternatives, some smaller companies that can currently do some residential for a fee composting, and there's some other ideas that we're knocking around. But Waste Management, they are in the composting business, but primarily with large venues like
Restaurants and
ballparks and football stadiums and things of that sort. So we can see where that goes. And then I promised the subcommittee we'll get a meeting scheduled, but we've got to do all this touring first, so get ourselves educated. And then I saw you added a comment on the waste oil.
So there's some grant money available, small amount of money available to communities that recycle waste oil. And so we were just talking about applying for some money. It was like $2,500 to maybe refurbish our little building over behind the fire station where we do our collections.
It's very interesting. One of the issues in that little building is there's about a 1 foot, maybe I'm misjudging the.
Yeah, 10 inches of a foot,
block
a
in the
weir.
entranceway in
Yeah.
case it ever leaked and it wouldn't create a tinkum. Okay. And unfortunately, we have folks that come that can barely step over that, particularly if they're carrying a couple of jugs of waste oil.
Well, you have a step, then you have to step again to get over that.
And I saw it when I voted the other day that they had, for the wheelchair access, they have some stainless steel ramps up and down, so maybe we could spend some of the money on that if we want to apply. But the place in general, I wouldn't want Ray to see the inside of that building right now because it is not particularly attractive, and I'm sure it's hazardous, Ray. So that's it from sewer and solid
Okay,
waste,
great.
unless somebody from the Range's got something else.
Cable, internet, John, any things you've been working on?
No updates.
Okay.
No updates. Well, I do have a appointment with Fidium. We'll see how that goes.
I want to know, because I want to change ours over, so.
And I also have an appointment with DirecTV. They're starting to put together some packages that are actually, for the town, people that can afford it, probably better.
Great.
On the other hand, though, they did spend almost 2 weeks with a couple engineers. I'm close to a major distribution site, but in like 3 other locations of the town. There are still some performance problems, but we'll take one thing at a time.
Yep. And with that, moving on to roundtable. Joy,
Nothing for me.
Ann,
No.
John?
2 hours in a line, that was interesting. I think that's great.
Yep, 80% turnout. Martha?
No, I'm all set, thank you.
Mike?
During your discussion tonight, one thing sort of just occurred to me that I just throw out as a challenge to the committee. When we got into the PFAS problem, thanks to, I don't know who all, I'm sure Ron was involved, but our town manager, the staff, we worked out a way that was funded by the state, I think through the Volkswagen settlement funds, to find a way to help people outside of the consent decree
Yeah.
get a refund to, install
important.
systems. We found a way to do that. So, to me, the challenge is, can we find a way to find some more state money,
That's one.
to find the influencers,
It's important.
to do this for the 350 people that
Right.
right now are left high and dry, no pun intended. So I don't know the history of how we did that, but somebody must. And it's probably isn't the best time to be in the middle of budget season asking anything from the, town administrator or town manager, but there's gotta be a way. We can't let happen what's going on.
Right.
Good point.
So I wish I could throw out a, magic bullet, or even a bullet we could put a price on, but
I think we should be talking to Drinking Water and Groundwater Trust Fund people.
yeah. I mean, how many, and none of us were aware of this until Ann brought it up.
I was
I
not
was
aware of
How
that.
floored.
aware are they
You
at,
told me.
other levels?
What do you think, Ron? I
That's a
mean,
very-
do you think it's the kind of thing where we should go and talk to the state folks first and then go?
So
You
I'm
know,
kind of involved in some
go
of
to
the
the
discussion, so
congressional-
my only concern would be legality. But if we could, I can certainly ask Amy Russo the question. We can talk to her about it.
I mean, if you
I'm
guys
just
are
gonna say
in
this.
negotiations now, right, with Saint Gobain, do you have a sense of timing that, no?
So we can't,
And I discovered I had PFAS in my water in 2016.
I know.
It took me in 2019, October, to get bottled water from Saint Gobain.
Yep,
Took me 3 years. Yeah.
yep, they're nasty
So-
people.
It's
That's
it's
a
not.
reminder.
I'm just gonna say
Yeah,
it's
no.
it's a company that just likes to drag their feet, and
Yeah, they don't want to pay a dime, I'm sure.
but giving my opinions here. But I think it's something that we can ask the question. I just don't know legally what that document is going to allow us to do, because if we go in and pay for something for them, then Saint Gobain might say, "Okay, we're not doing anything. We're done. They already have clean water. We're done. We're out." So I don't know.
Right.
We have to ask AG's office. We have to talk to some people above us to find out what the legalities are, I think,
Absolutely.
before we can do anything. Because then Saint Gobain, if we pay for systems, say we find the money and we pay for all 350 systems, then what stops Saint Gobain saying, "We're not paying anything. You guys already have your systems. We're done. We're out." And then we never get the 13 million.
Right.
I think the gentleman, Lynn mentioned, is he coming to the next meeting?
He specifically is not going to be talking drinking water,
Yeah.
Talking
talking-
energy.
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 Mr. Chair, I think that
That doesn't stop us from talking to them.
to,
There you go. I mean,
to
I mean-
council,
Wait,
sorry.
go ahead.
to Councilor Dunn's point, I think starting with state and legal is an excellent place to begin that conversation. I think that is where that needs to start, to discuss with the parties who are more intimately acquainted with the consent decree and the guidelines. I think that is, Councilor Dunn is the right idea on this one.
Thank you.
So.
Thank you. Yeah.
But to Mike's point though, and I just checked the math here, and I think we're talking about $1,750,000, not 17 million, that somebody said.
350.
houses times $5,000 bucks.
Okay,
So,
then my math was wrong.
yeah, that's okay, that's okay.
Bye, Joy.
You're off the budget committee.
I think the town put out, I believe it was on a Warren article where they put in a pipeline or, behind the shopping center there.
Yes.
Lancaster Drive, yeah.
For probably more than that,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly. And maybe we should be looking at a solve, particularly if we're looking 3 or 4 years more before these folks have money coming to them. And should that be something this committee puts forward?
I'm just
Or
gonna
at
stress,
least
go through the AG's office, please.
Yes.
Because this could kill the whole agreement and we'll never see the 13 million. I'm just cautioning you to be very careful.
Right.
Yep.
That's all I'm gonna say. This-
I would
There's
ask
a lot
that,
of legal negotiations going on. I
Yeah.
would not mess with it, but
Yep.
I'm one person.
and as a reminder, the Lancaster Drive was also the result of that Warren article was a result of a previous negotiation with a responsible party in that case. That was a very positive and very fruitful negotiation.
Right.
Because it was conducted through the proper means. And so in order to, we are still in negotiations with St. Gobain. They are ongoing. The tone is still positive. We'd like to keep moving, as Councillor Dunn said, through the proper legal channels and explore any deviations from that should definitely be worked through with the state under the auspices of the consent decree.
I totally
Yeah,
agree with
well
that.
said, thank you.
Yeah.
Are you suggesting we should not talk to the state?
I'm suggesting that we should move through the proper channels in speaking with the current legal representation we are working with, and through the state agencies to explore the possibility first.
Yep.
I
Yeah, I
guess,
think
Again,
yeah,
I
I
would-
think it depends on who's doing the negotiating. I mean, I'm sure you have DES on the negotiation.
So again, we're not
yes.
going to discuss
Yeah.
the negotiations in this
Yeah.
committee.
Yeah, I think, I think,
It's not usually, I've been in tons of enforcement negotiations.
It is confidential.
And normally the people who are involved, not the names of the people, but the entities that are involved are usually discussed. You can say St. Gobain is sitting at the table and the Attorney General's office is sitting at the table and EPA is sitting at the table. And you don't necessarily have to give the names of the people. But I guess what I'm just, because if we don't know who to go to, question, if we don't know, do we go to DES?
so I think.
I am
I think
suggesting that the
Ron-
committee,
I think Ron has this well under control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm suggesting,
that's a
yes, that you
good-
leave this
that's a
with
good
Ron and the
end.
individual members of the committee do
Well-
not take action
Yeah.
separately to approach anything about the St. Gobain consent decree area. I think that Councillor Dunn has made an excellent point about the need to progress through the proper channels in order to keep us from
Oh, I do,
I
I'm
think
just
that-
trying to figure out what the proper channel.
I think
proper
that-
channels or this gentleman
Yeah, I
right
think-
over here.
Yeah.
That's
I think the
one
chances of
channel.
you guys harming an agreement that's currently in litigation is very high.
Yeah,
I
So
would just not do it, but.
Yep.
Who's suggesting that?
So,
I am saying that of my own volition. As a taxpayer,
no.
I'm on there. I'm saying do not do it, but that's me.
Who was suggesting that someone should do that?
I don't understand the question. I'm saying that. it's
so
me.
let's move
No, he
on,
was asking the
Let's
question
move on.
about that.
right? Let's just move on.
You know
We
what,
can, we
I
can
know
talk
you
about
wanna
this.
Move on there, just, do you have a sense of a timeline? If I was living in one of those 350 houses,
right.
I'd be looking you in the eye and saying, okay, I agree, let the negotiators
It-
handle it. Give me a sense, because I'm
If I was
taking my
talking to
showers with the
that gentleman
74 reading.
that she was talking to, I would tell them that we are doing the best we can. We are negotiating with them, and that I personally experienced in my life, I waited 3 years for a system, and I just can't give anybody a timeline right now. I can't do
But,
it.
you know,
'cause
yeah.
I
I mean,
just-
for some people, that'll be acceptable, for
Yeah.
others, it probably won't be acceptable.
I just
And-
think that if you try to push this too hard, you could lose everything.
Right,
Just gonna say that.
I agree
Well,
with,
we don't even know what everything is, so,
well,
but anyway, I'm just,
yes, we do know what everything is. We do.
So,
what is
So,
everything,
So
Martha?
let's move on. If you want to talk about this afterwards with,
Okay.
amongst ourselves, that's fine, but I think right now, I agree with, Mr. Dunn's, Counselor Dunn's comments 100%. If this has to be approached through the right channels, he is the right channel for this committee to be working through with this discussion.
Definitely.
Jeff? Sorry, anything else?
No. My comment was aimed only at creating a sense of urgency.
That's
not
right.
a particular course of action.
That's right. It is urgent.
Jeff?
I mentioned it in the meeting. If anybody has ideas of something that they would like to talk about for the utility committee, video information outreach, come up with an idea, come up with 10 minutes of material, and then we'll come up with 20 minutes of questions and roundtable discussion, and you can be on TV or YouTube at least.
Good.
And it's kind of fun too.
Yeah.
That's all.
Ray? Ron?
I got one quick thing. If anybody has any legislative bills they'd like to put in, I have from November 11th to November 15th to file any bills. And the nice thing is, all you need to do is give me a topic, tell me what you want to have done. I submit that, and the legal department does the research for us. So if there's anything that anybody listening or anybody here on the committee would like to put in, all we really need during that week is a subject matter, what you want to accomplish, and then the legal department will take it from there.
I
gave
do.
you one.
I do. I have a quick question.
Yeah,
It has to be through one of our representatives. I can't do it myself, right?
correct.
That's right. Second thing is, I want to ask expertise of you guys here. So, like I said, I've been learning a lot. I've been reading all the history, how far it goes back. I'm pretty surprised. Surprised that 98% of the people in the country now have this in their bloodstream, including
yeah.
babies and everything else.
That's right.
I'm an engineer, okay? Okay? And to me, everything's kind of like black and white. And I watched it go from 40 parts per trillion to whatever, to 7 to 6 now to 4.
Right,
I gotta say this. What are we, stupid? Well,
exactly.
0. I would like to put in a request
Right.
that in the state of New Hampshire,
Ban.
that no product may be produced or sold in the state that has any traces of PFAS in it at all. Not 4 parts per trillion, any at all.
I think you guys have done that.
Yeah,
and
so,
it
so the
becomes Act
I
1-3.
think 2 meetings ago, we got HB 1649 through.
Yes, you
And
did.
that was a negotiation on both sides of the aisle. And I think it's a good bill, a lot of good things in it. If there's anything you'd like to, I guess, enforce more on that bill, look at that bill and see what you'd like to do with it. Because there's a lot of support right now for that bill. It doesn't start till 27 and 28, but there's a lot of good things in that bill.
I read the bill, and 2 reasons why I want to do this. One,
yeah.
like I said, I'm very black and white. It's like the fire department showing up at a fire and telling the gas company it's a gas-fed fire, only cut it back to 20%. What? Are you kidding me? No, we know this is bad. So, and I saw all the things you guys did, fantastic. It's a lot big improvement where we were 5 years ago. However, I want to make hay, even if it gets to the point where it gets on ABC, Channel 9, or whatever. So, people are pushing to make this 0. Why not? At least create some kind of controversy or publicity. Publicity around it. Use the word publicity. All right,
So you've got a
I'm gonna
lot,
write
just
it.
so you know, you got a lot of entities out there. You got a lot of people, like, for example, like we were talking earlier, she just left. We were talking about Gore-Tex, like LL Bean, a
it's
very
all in this
environmentally friendly
Oh,
company
I know.
sells PFAS.
I know.
So you have a lot of companies out there that make their living off of PFAS. So you
But
kind of
there are substitutes.
yeah, no, you have to. That's where the balance comes in. So if you wanted to get something to be specific, please give me a call. If we can get something specific, because that bill was a lot of negotiation, a lot of hours to negotiate that between
sure it
all
was.
different people.
Yes, that
And that was like the best thing we could do for both sides.
Number of
understand.
Yeah.
states are doing
It's like, I do understand.
There's
Yeah.
So you guys know I'm a racer.
Oh, yeah.
And after many years, we all realized that hydrazine was not a good thing to be putting in our fuel tanks. If you know anything about hydrazine, okay.
This sounds bad, yeah.
So we said, we better not use that anymore.
Could we-
We banned it.
So this is a question as well. One of the things that has been brought up a couple times, and it's just, my jaw drops every time I get told this, is when we install our, Hoyt systems.
Yep.
To filter water when it comes in, and you have your, charcoal to take the PFAS out. If I understand correctly, that charcoal is just put in a landfill.
Correct.
So, could we put something together to find some way, I don't know if you can incinerate it or recharge it or something
No.
to,
It goes into a permitted landfill, which is a
can you
big
set
deal.
it up to where the PFAS doesn't leach back? I mean, is that a permanent fix?
A permitted landfill has a number of different
Barriers.
requirements under the Resource Conservation
So,
Recovery Act.
That was one question we asked
Solid
Bob Carey.
waste.
Remember back a little while ago? And Bob said that right now, that's the best way to dispose of it, into a layered landfill, which is what
Permitted landfill.
Okay.
what she's
The
saying, so.
current solution.
So I'm counting on you to be like my canary in the coal mine, and if you're comfortable with that, Ann, I'm gonna lean on you.
I don't want to die as a canary in.
Well, I'm saying that, like, you know, this is something that's concerning to me, but if you're, you know, I understand that you know it better than I do, and if that's the best technology today, that makes me feel better.
I think there are a variety of different private companies that are looking into this.
Yep.
And trying to come up with different technologies. I mean, the problem is if you burn it, what do you do
Then
if you
okay,
burn it?
yeah,
It goes
okay.
into the air. You put in filters and it could potentially, you know, in a number of years, it can leach from the landfills.
But do we have a program, and I'm sorry, this is my engineer coming out, but do we have is there a requirement to dispose of PFAS contaminated activated charcoal in permanent landfills, or are all landfills permanent landfills?
I think John told me
you
there's a
understand? Am I-
special handling, and I think it might be
Yeah.
burning with absolute scrubbers, and then the residue is then packaged up to they call it a contained landfill, non-leaching landfill.
But-
we can check. We'll check.
Yeah, I
They're
think, 'cause to me, it
capped.
just seems
I
silly.
mean, we have Auburn is a landfill.
Some of the
And
ones,
it's capped.
some of the
There's
ones
Yeah,
out
we
there
saying-
in
Destroy it.
Nevada for
Yeah,
like
At
radioactive
really high
stuff.
temperature.
Yeah.
Has a
Yeah, you
cement.
can
That's
destroy
a
it.
totally
And
different,
then
that's a
it's
whole
not hazardous.
different
Right.
category when you
I think
get
But if you
that
require-
this is a huge problem.
So we got two conversations going on.
Sorry.
Sorry.
I'll look into it.
Conversations,
I'll look into it
so-
myself, and then I'll get in touch with you.
Yeah, please.
Great.
Okay.
Sorry, I'll take my own action.
Yeah.
November 11th.
You have November 11th or the 15th to contact me.
Oh, jeez.
All right. I know, but all I need is a framework of what you want, and then we can give it to the legal department. They come back, and then we have time to review it. So it's nothing like.
Thank you.
Ron, how often do you go to other states, say Maine or Massachusetts, and say, can we get a copy of your legislation? Because we'd like to use that as a boilerplate
So
potentially
for 1649, we did that actually. We did that for we looked at New York, California, Massachusetts, even Hawaii. We looked at different. Yeah, so we did that for that legislation. So I would say when necessary, we do that frequently.
Okay.
Let them do the work.
Yeah.
John?
Mr. Chairman, in the interest of getting our blood
time.
boiling again before we go home and go to bed, I yield the balance of my time to Mike.
Wow.
Say congratulations to Ron.
Oh, what?
So say congratulations to Ron for
Oh.
your election win.
Oh, thank you.
Condolences to Ann
Just to
for,
see you in 2 years.
And congratulations for Ann for running.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is my second time, and let me tell you,
Getting closer?
not easy.
Getting closer?
Not easy.
I was close.
know.
I was the top #1 vote getter for the Democrats.
Yep.
And it was 368 vote difference.
Do you feel
So I was
comfortable
pretty
with
close.
speaking about that legislation that I
So I
suggested?
feel proud of that.
We work on?
You
I
should
do.
be proud
And
of
I'll
that.
actually call you tomorrow.
so,
Easy.
yep,
Feel
thank you.
comfortable
So,
about speaking about
Ray,
right now, no.
Ray, Ron,
Okay.
I'm good.
next meeting is going to be Tuesday, December 3rd. It's going to be energy focused with Josh Elliott from New Hampshire Department of Energy. And then we'll have our partners from from Colonial Power Group and Freedom Energy Logistics to talk about energy in the future for us. Any other business? Motion to
No.
adjourn?
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
I can't vote.
We're adjourned.